addendum to our intergovernmental agreement between the townships of Cato, Hinton, Pine, and Maple Valley, dated September 5th, 2019. The fire board would like to add, they currently have 8 members, they would like to add a 9th member officially, so that they can, obviously not have a situation where they'd have a tie. It makes sense to have an odd number. They did kind of add one without going back to all the townships and getting the agreement changed. This is the proper way to do it. So we do have that in front of us to vote on. It says the board shall appoint an additional member at large to serve at the pleasure of the board. Addendum number 1 to the agreement. And this needs to be signed by the supervisor and the clerk from each of the 4 townships. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we approve addendum number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement between the 4 townships to add a 9th member. Is there support for that?
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Alright, fire, that's it for fire district. Alright, I'll buzz through my supervisor's report real quick. I know we have some guests here tonight and I wanna get them up here so we're not keeping too much of their time. So assessing department, December board of review is tentatively scheduled for December 10th, 2024 at 2 p.m. That will need to get posted on the window and the website at least 18 hours before. I will make sure that that gets done. Roads, we should have a meeting scheduled. They usually have a preliminary meeting with all the townships in December, so we can kind of get a feel for what road projects they think for this next 2025 year. The County Board of Commissioners, my understanding, is voting tomorrow. The Road Commission made a presentation to them. The board is looking to spend down some of the county's fund balance, and the Road Commission asked for, I think it was $2 million. And they're hoping that they can allocate about $100,000 for each township. If they can get approval, the board will vote on that tomorrow. So that would be awesome. However, it does sound like there could potentially be a match requirement. So we'd have to potentially match some money too, but just want to let you know about that. The MDOT work on Youngman Road has been completed with a little bit of a bonus. They, instead of just going from Edgar to Elmy, they went all the way to M46 to Elmy. So we got a nice paving job done. Thank you to the Road Commission for facilitating that. And then, I don't think this applies, but I'm just gonna mention it. I got something that the DNR is intending to close certain forest roads, and if you wanna comment on it, comment by December 1. I don't think we have any state forest roads in our township, so I don't think it applies. Cemetery, the tree work is pretty much mostly complete. There's still the stump grinding and some cleanup left. Legal, still trying to finish out the zoning ordinance work. And then also just a quick update on the PA 233 appeal that was filed on Friday. There's a total of, I think, 76 municipalities is what our attorney told me that have joined that. So they have filed that, and there was a press release on Foster Swift's website if anyone wants to read that. Audit, the audit is pretty much finalized. I don't have the hard copies in front of me, but we got that all worked out with the auditor last week. We did get a clean opinion in our report, and I hope to have some highlights to go over with you at our December meeting, and we will work. Auditor will get our the audit submitted to the state and the F-65 filed, and then I will work on filing the qualified statement. So we'll stay tuned on that. No update from last meeting on the trail. Events and meetings, Winfield Township is hosting an open house for their new township hall tomorrow from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I got an invitation on that, so if you're not doing anything, go over to our neighbors to the west and check out their new building. And that is all I have for supervisor's report, and we have a guest here, Deanna Riggleman, the Tamarack District Library Director, is here to give us the annual update on the library.
Thank you for letting me be here today. All of Cato Township is part of the Tamarack District Library. We service all of the Lakeview Community School District. So this is last year, so it ended on June 30th, is what this report is that you have in your hands. Our bond, we paid off 105 on our bond this last year, and it will be paid off in 2032. We refinanced a couple years ago to pay it off a little bit earlier, so we're really excited about that. So that will lower taxes when that comes off in 2032. We have currently, at the end of the fiscal year, we had just over 3,200 registered users. 310 of those were new users. Of that, actually almost 48% of Cato Township residents have a library card. So that's super exciting. That's the highest in our area, of course, but it's very helpful that the library's in the district, or in that township, and so that helps with that, of course. We ran 96 programs this last year. That includes 2 in-school or after-school programs that are run Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. Also 2 story hours during Wednesdays and Thursdays for kiddos 0 to 5. And then lots of activities on Tuesdays and Thursdays after work hours for individuals to come and do crafts, learn about different activities or skills. So those are what we offer, but we're always looking for new ideas. So if anyone has anything that they would like to suggest, we're always looking for new ideas. Of those programs, we had just over 4,000 people attend those, and then we had over 56,000 individuals come into the library for one reason or another over this last year. We have almost 40,000 materials in-house that we circulate, and then electronically we have 28,000. And that's just what we have that we have actually purchased, but we are part of the Lakeland Co-op, which is actually 42 libraries. So if you have a library card, on the back is all of the libraries that includes. That includes most of the Montcalm County ones, like Pine and Stanton does not participate, and Vesterbur does not participate in that, but all the rest of them do. And so you can actually use your library card at any of those libraries. It's on the back, which includes Kent County, Ottawa County, Ionia County, but 42 libraries. You can go to any of those, get their materials. You can return them back to us. You can come to our library, request materials. We get them shipped in 3 times a week. We get a shipment from all those libraries so that we can get those materials to you to use. And so huge outlet that we have there. And if you don't find something that you want, let us know, and we always are looking to purchase materials that individuals want. Of those materials, we also have a library of things, which includes the kayaks. I don't know if anyone's ever seen the kayaks and stand-up paddleboards that are at the Tamarack Lake. Those are actually Tamarack District Libraries, and you are welcome to borrow those for free. All you have to do is come check them out. We have microscopes and snowshoes and board games and all kinds of things for individuals to try out sewing machines. So again, we have more than just books. This last year, we took down a privacy fence that was starting to deteriorate. We added some security cameras to the inside and outside. We had 2 condenser units needed to be fixed, and then we added sound to the pavilion that we just built. So those are some of the updates that we did this last year. Then we were able to put more money aside in the green box down there where it says outreach. We were able to continue to add to that so that we can get a bookmobile, so that the outer areas can have a library more accessible to them. That's our plan for that money. So, any questions from anyone?
So the 81,000 of funds held in reserve for building projects, is that what you're talking about, bookmobile? Or?
No, the one below that, the outreach one.
Oh, the outreach, that's the bookmobile.
Yes, the outreach one is for the bookmobile. The building projects are for when we have a problem that we need to.
Okay, so it's kind of just a reserve if some, nothing specific.
No, nothing specific for that one.
Okay.
What's the goal, or what's the need for the outreach so that you
Actually, with this, we are starting our planning process, and so hopefully by next year, if we can roll over a little bit more into that so that we can fully fund it and get it going.
What's the top dollar that you need, that you anticipate needing?
We're thinking, $350,
All right,
so,
that's
exactly, yes. So we're hoping that once we get it, going this year, then hopefully next year we'll be able to get it fully funded and on the run. But it's probably a 24-month out process for purchasing and then building and getting it on the road, so.
And then we have two representatives, each district gets two representatives, and ours is Laura Leppink and Ted Johnson.
Correct.
And is it 3-year or 4-year terms that they serve?
They're 4-year terms.
4-year terms, okay, and I think Ted they kind of just roll, is kind of how
Yes.
it's hard to get people to fill these positions, we'll say,
Yes.
but for right now, we're covered, we have people representing on that board, so. Any other questions for Deanna? Well, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great highlights. Okay. That brings us to old business. So, proposals for IT services. At our last meeting, I shared that, the company that provides our remote app and backup and offsite hosting services is closing the location of the data center that we're a part of, and we wanted to see what our options are, and as far as getting potentially a server and getting an IT company to help us with our IT needs. And we requested proposals from K Squared Tech Solutions. Keaton Myers, one of the owners, is here today. Out of Lakeview, and also Big E Technologies, Eric McLaughlin is the owner there. He submitted a proposal also, and he's out of Rosebush, formerly Lakeview, but he was unable to be here tonight, but I did talk to him earlier, had a few questions, and he, if we have any further questions, we can contact him. But at this time, I would like to invite Keaton Myers, if you wanted to come up, and that way you have somewhere to lay out all your stuff and just kind of give a overview of your proposals, two-tiered, couple different things, and you can explain it a lot better than me. So.
Perfect, thank you for having me. So the first one is going to be the managed service proposal. That's going to be monthly managed IT services for the township. In that, I have workstation management, backup management. It's going to be server management now instead of the NAS management, and your network management as well. So the workstation management, we base it off the user for you guys, how many people are using your computers. And what that entails is essentially we have a software that we put on your computers that allows us to monitor your computers from the back end, keep them up to date. We put antivirus and endpoint detection response on them, and we have an MDR solution as well for that. What that means in non-technical terms is for MDR, we partner with a company called Defender, and they have dedicated security teams that will monitor the endpoints 24/7 for us. It's just me and one other person currently. That way we have 24/7 eyes for security purposes. If something does get detected like a virus on your computers, anytime, day or night, they give us a call so we can hop on that as soon as possible and ensure everything's good with that. Obviously, other things, keeping your computers up to date is essential for security as well, and also to help them prolong their life. For the server management, it's essentially the same thing as the computer management. It's just beefed up for servers. I did give you guys a quote now for a full-fledged server rather than just the NAS that we put on there, because the software you guys use for the tax assessing and property tax does require that. So you can find that in the quote that I gave to Brandy today.
Yep, I got a copy. Everybody should, this is the updated quote. We have that.
Everything underneath the first line item is included in that cost for that.
And that includes a 3-year warranty.
Correct, yep. So 3-year warranty, anything goes wrong with the server, you can reach out to us, and at no charge, we'll come in and replace the part that's broken, or replace the whole server altogether. Backup management for that, like our remote monitoring software, we have a backup software that we put on the server, or if you wanna specify a workstation, you can. And we can set up a schedule in order to back up that computer or server to our cloud infrastructure. That's included in the monthly costs, and we harbor that and we validate those backups to make sure they are working. We will get a screenshot of every month of that the backup is working. So in the event that the building does burn down or anything happens, we can get you back up and running with those backups. And then the network management portion is, I took a look at your infrastructure, obviously for network. That's gonna include your printers, routers, firewalls, anything that you guys have on the network. Being it's nice and small, it's not such a big cost. So we have an app that we use that monitors everything within the network. We can see when your ink cartridges on your printers get low, and we can order you ink if you'd like, all that good stuff. I just keep you guys up to date, keep you guys running smooth, without having to worry about hiccups in technology. Any questions for me on anything in there?
Is this something that's expandable too? I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah,
so you just add something
a
down
lot
the
of
road?
it is, a lot of technology is always scalable. We try to set you up with something that will work for you, obviously, it's what you need, but also in the future, if you grow, you can scale it up for you, obviously. No problem there.
And I appreciated the level of detail you put, in all these different services. It really feels like a well-rounded, IT maintenance program for sure. Monthly price, gross was $310, but you gave us a 20% discount because we had gone, if we had go with
Right.
all the services.
Mm-hmm.
So it would bring it down to $248. Can we talk about this server, to start with? And it, really this question with BSNA, which is our data software provider for, as Keaton mentioned, the, assessing and the property tax, collecting. And that kind of researching what BSNA requires, if we do our own in-house server, that's where we had to bump it up from that original NAS, is that what you say, how you say it,
Correct, yeah.
NAS, okay. Which, if we didn't have the BSNA, that probably would work just fine for all of our other records, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Essentially, it's a file storage.
Yeah.
NAS. The one I quoted you for could work as, have some server properties, but mainly it's for, file storage for on-site, to share files between each other.
yeah, which we definitely need that. The reason we had to go up a tier is all because of this BSNA factor, which requires, a more advanced server, I guess we'll call it, Windows server. That's a big chunk of this cost, on top of the hardware and the processor, memory. I'm not an IT person, but I'm learning more than I ever wanted to. But it does add up, as far as managing your own BSNA server. And the other thing is, I guess, can you explain this? We have to, in order to migrate data from where we currently have it housed, we have to have this special Microsoft SQL.
Correct.
And there may be a chance it could be a lot less expensive, but we don't know yet. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
So I spoke with BSNA today, and there's different levels of the SQL licensing that you can have. It's essentially a database software, so to host it on site, you have to have that licensing on the Windows server to do that. And they let me know if your files, your database currently is less than 10 gigabytes in storage, we could get away with using the SQL Express version, which is a free version of the software. That is scalable as well. So if we start out with the free and you grow beyond the 10 gigabytes, we can definitely look at purchasing the standard licensing for that. You wouldn't lose any data in the migration up or anything, it'd stay there, you just upgrade the licensing for that. And then you get more storage essentially, and better works with the server.
And you were thinking approximately $1,200 for that.
Correct, yes, Yes, from what I researched, being you guys only use I believe the assessor and the treasurer use the BSNA software.
Just to,
Right, so the standard licensing is around 1,000, and then they have what they call client access licenses, which allows users to access that server, which is that additional extra couple $100
okay.
for that.
Cause, the other quote was a lot higher for that license, and I was trying to reconcile what are we missing, and, you know, obviously we hope we could get the freebie.
Right.
That would be ideal, but I just wanna make sure there's nothing else that we're missing there, with that SQL. And then the other factor, which I've been talking to our assessor a little bit about what some of the other units that he works in do. Sounds like we're kind of unique in that we have this remote access, capability, which we're getting through this VC3 who's closing that location. So this, the other quote had, for firewall and a virtual private network to be able to access BSNA remotely. And I think you and I talked earlier that you could price that out, and we don't quite have that yet. But, you know, it sounds like some of the other townships aren't necessarily doing that remote, access, but I think it's very much appreciated. It sounds like talking to Dutch on
Right.
the treasurer's side, because, you use your laptop from home. So I feel like we need more information on what, you know, what would work for us, as far as that, remote capabilities, and, so I'll just, any other questions, I guess, for Keaton?
So the remote capabilities is extra cost, or you're gonna find that out?
Correct, yeah, I'm gonna look into that for you. and
So
then-
where you're at right now, if we didn't have that, what you're thinking is it would be free because of what we do as a township, just the size and everything you're saying?
So the remote VPN, that's a separate cost than like the database itself.
Right.
So that I have to look into to make sure, or see the best course of action for that, and I can get you
But
guys a
without
quote on
that, we're
Without
good
that.
at the free, the size we have free.
Yeah, if you look at that summary I gave, so the total for the upgraded server for just because of BSNA
Right.
would be roughly just a little over 5,000. And then the SQL license, it's either gonna be Keaton's 1,200 or potentially zero.
Oh, okay.
And then that
makes
yellow
more
highlight
sense.
there is the one Keaton's gonna look into.
Mhm.
Okay.
The other quote was about $2,200 for that, so not cheap to, run BSNA on your own, server. And again, there's two things at play here. We could really use this file storage, that first option, the NAS, for sure. You know, that I think it's just this question of what do we do with BSNA, because they wanna push us to their cloud. And it was between $4,000 and $5,000 a year annually, plus initially, there's the training, implementation, migration piece, and that was another 4,000 to 5,000. So you're looking at 10,000, I mean, it was not cheap. So that's why we thought, well, you know, we'll look at what if we did it in-house. Now granted, you take on more responsibility, and when the assessor and the treasurer need BSNA, they need BSNA, so it's, you know, and that would worse be someone like Keaton would come in, we'd have him on call if something, but you do manage more of that yourself versus, hey, it's their problem and they better make sure their product's available. So, I feel like we need more, I guess I'm not comfortable voting on this until we, find out about this, firewall VPN. And then kind of also just learn a little bit more about, I'd like to see what, these other townships I think are doing manual backups, which I don't love, but I think it's a temporary solution. Cause our agreement with this VC3 is up this month, and they said they would do month to month at our current rate until we get our, you know, it's not gonna go on indefinitely, but
Right.
I don't think we're totally under the gun as I thought, we would be. So, I wanted to give Keaton a chance to, go through what he's provided and ask him any questions, and then we'll also, I'll buzz through, Big E's quote as well. But yeah, so, without that firewall VPN, the estimated cost was a little over $6,200 just for that server. And then the monthly IT service would be at the discounted rate of $248. So that would be an annual recurring cost total, $2,900, if we hire someone to do our, IT monthly.
Right.
So just to kind of give you that. Any other questions for Keaton before?
I had one, if I say to you, Microsoft SQL per core, 2-core pack, what's that mean?
So that licensing is based on the cores of the CPU of a computer.
Okay,
It's generally more expensive, it's generally more used in bigger environments.
okay,
Cause you can do the per core, which with the per core, you wouldn't have to use the CAL licensing, cause anybody could have access to it that you wanted to. However, for smaller businesses or smaller institutions, the standard license is gonna be more beneficial because you only have a limited amount of licenses for people to access it.
mm-hmm,
It's still gonna be a much significant less cost
yes,
for that.
yes. Okay.
And,
Kind of understand.
I read this in your, there was a little link to your terms and conditions on your website. You guys are fully insured, general liability insurance.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate all the detail and the research, and certainly the firewall VPN, and that kind of helps us compare. But no other questions for Keaton, I'll just kind of buzz through, the big E quote. So there, in that summary page, the hardware for the server, you had to actually pay a separate fee for the warranty. They're about a little over $8,000, so quite a price difference there. And then I mentioned the SQL difference, already, and the firewall VPN 2200, so it's a little over 9,000 total just for between hardware and licenses and software. So we're keeping right now is at about 6,200. We'll see what he comes up with on firewall VPN. So, and then as far as the monthly IT services, so this would be a 24/7, 365 days a year network systems monitoring software with email alerting for on-site devices per month. So it's basically a software that would notify Big E when something goes wrong. They would investigate it. There would be no charge for that initial response, and then they would call us. Hourly rate would kick in. That's to fix whatever it is. The hourly or the monthly was $299.99 a month, and then they also put on here endpoint protection service and quarantine service. Said it uses WebRoot, $89.99 a year per computer, and that's an annual. So I'll let you guys can peruse through there, but I really like the detail that was in the other Keaton's quote. But this is a software systems monitoring. I want to thank Eric at Big E. He answered all my questions earlier, and he also, he manages a data center. This is kind of a secondary thing for him to help townships out. And he said that, he's even willing to help with consulting if we did go with somebody else. And he's familiar with BSNA, used to work for manage the county's IT. So he was very, very good to work with, very accommodating as well. So, but I think we're kind of let's get a little more information on that, adding to the quote, but also kind of looking in, is there an alternative remote solution, I guess? And comparing that to the cost for BSNA, cloud, let's kind of just look at the totality of all of this and kind of where we wanna go. I think, we got a little time yet, so that's okay with you on your timeline and stuff? That's kind of where I'm proposing. Anybody have any questions? IT stuff's complicated. I'm glad we've got professionals.
You
I
studied
like
a lot.
adding numbers. I like adding numbers.
You studied a lot.
Yeah. So anyways, okay, if everybody's, we'll kind of just table this and, till the next month unless, something else comes up, we have to do something, we can have a special meeting if we need to. But thank you, Keaton, for being here, and
Thank you.
we'll, be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else to come before the board, before we move into our final public it up to public comment, 3 minutes. Please state your name and, what township, and any topic is up for fair game.
Jennytown, Cato Township. I don't know about you, how you guys are feeling about it, but I would feel real comfortable and a lot of peace of mind knowing that I had an IT guy like at my fingertips, rather than 50 miles away from here. So he would have my vote, even if his quote came in a little bit higher, because I know how easily accessible he would be. So that would just be a peace of mind. Also, I want to say that I'm like pretty impressed with all the cleanup that's been going on around here in this hall. It's becoming like clean again. The work that Matt's done, putting new signs up and new bulletins for the bulletin boards and whatever, I think that it's really a great thing. Also, I have one question, and I don't know that you can answer this tonight. It's going to have to go to the zoning, but there was a property on 7106 Cutler Road that was complained about over 2 years ago for blight, and there's no status update on it. So can someone get an update on what the status is on that piece of property?
7106.
7106 Cutler. Dave, we received a complaint on it back in December of 2022, I think.
I can look, or if I don't find anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything on it for months and months and months, so.
Okay. Yep, we'll check, follow up on it.
I have one more thing. This is Ginger's last meeting.
Not Ginger's.
Yes, as a nominee.
No.
From here on out, she's gonna be the same as what the other one's gonna be. She's gonna be our elected clerk, so I think that both her and Jamie should get a big hand for being elected clerks and filling in in the tight pinch.
Take it out, Ginger.
You're not going anywhere, Ginger.
Yeah.
Correct, because she did just step into that and get appointed. And
Exactly.
done a hell of a
True.
job.
She has
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
yes.
another lifesaver.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
So,
Matt Hubbard, Cato Township, AKA the maintenance guy. There's some lights and panels that I think need to be fixed, and there's a little bit of caulk job. The previous board voted on having some glass work done, and it was never done, fixed or finished right. I think we need to get that fixed and adjusted, so.
anybody else? Going once, going twice? All right, we're gonna close public comment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there